I always thought my mother was the only person in the world who, blind to truth, would say nice things about me. And I've learned today that that's not the case. Actually, there were so many things that were said today that I didn't recognise about myself. And also John, but thank you very much. It was certainly out of our comfort zones, but we're really grateful to all the people that have got up to speak today. And each person who's got up to speak today is someone that we both hold on a pedestal, so it means a heck of a lot to us. But you forgot two important episodes in my career. My career started when I was 13, when I was playing keyboard and singing in rock groups, you know, covers from Blood, Sweat and Tears, Otis Redding. And I'm occasionally asked what the names were of those rock bands that I played with, but if I tell you that my first rock band was called the Soporific Trauma, you won't want me to name the rest. You may not know about another early part of my career, and at the end of second year med school in 1975, I worked in the Eskimo settlements on the northwest coast of Hudson's Bay for 6 weeks in the middle of winter. I also earned the title of fashionista at that time. For a week at the very end, I met up with Michael Gonzalez, and we were operating on polar bears and grizzly bears, putting transducers under their skin to try and measure the changes in their energy as a result of the enormous pipelines that were going through the Northwest Territories. But for the first 5 weeks, I spent flying from one Eskimo settlement to another on the rim of the Arctic Circle, teaching the nuns there, who ran the clinics, how to diagnose gonorrhea by doing gram stains. And I guess that holiday job has certainly influenced my more recent research interests in developing point-of-care tests for use in remote settings. Not much going on in those settlements at night, not much entertainment, and gonorrhea was rampant. But the main part of my few minutes on the stage today is for me to thank at least some of the many people who've contributed to my career over the years. During med school, Robin O'Hare and I were known as the Shadow Sisters, always together, sharing notes, practicing case presentations, preparing for our College of Physicians exams. Rob, it would have been so much harder and much less fun if we'd done this alone. And it seems so long ago. Actually, also it seems like it was just yesterday that Anne and I were working in the Fairfield HIV clinic together with many others also contributing. And looking back on those days, as Ian pointed out, it was such emotionally hard work. There was no evidence base. In fact, we were trying to create the evidence as we went. There were many tears and there were many stories. But Anne, amongst your other leadership roles, you inspired the culture of care, how we looked after our patients. That has been your lasting legacy. And thanks to Anne and my other infectious diseases colleagues for working with me on the programs training doctors in HIV medicine over the years, not only in Laos, as we've heard, but also in India, Myanmar, Fiji, Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. We've seen this slide about Elvis Cusis and how he really encouraged us as young infectious diseases doctors to try and hone our writing skills. He was pushing us towards perfection and accuracy, though there was nothing less than that for Elvis. And we're really proud of the fact that now we have got these 3 volumes that have just come out at the end of last year that weigh 14 kilograms. Lindsay has been an amazing Uber editor for the Cusis, and Lindsay, I'm sure you'll agree with me that we hope that Elvis up there is really proud of our efforts. Ian, I want to personally thank you. Where are you? There you are, over there. I want to personally thank you. I have to single you out. I'm really indebted to you for the invitation that you gave to me to be the first lab head out at Burnet so many years ago. I had very little experience at the time and you trusted me. I remember your advice. You said to surround myself with people who knew more than I did, and that was really good advice, and I've always done that. You also gave me some other advice. You said I should have a plan B because the work on macrophages would be exhausted within 3 years and I needed to know what else I was going to do. And I'm pleased to say that at the end of 30 years, I've really just opened Pandora's box. And I know I'm leaving the work that we're doing, the risk discoveries on how HIV contributes to the diseases associated with ageing, in very good hands at Burnet and beyond. Ian, this was my first lab that you gave me at Burnet, and I was at the Burnet Centre, and I was so unbelievably proud of it. It's a little different to the high-tech laboratory suites that we now have at the Burnet, but this was very special, and thank you. There have been many scientists who've trained in my laboratory or worked with me over the past 30 years. I'd like to start by thanking all of the research assistants, some of whose photos are here, and although dangerous, given time constraints, I'll just single out a few that I've worked with particularly recently to thank. Jez, you started actually in 1991 as an RMIT honours student or a work experience student, but you've never left. Now, Mr. Flowman, you're the head of flow cytometry for the AMREP facility. Jez, thanks for your loyalty. Thanks for the 27 red roses that you gave me to mark the 27 years that we've worked together as I left a few weeks ago. And thanks also for providing some alternatives to banality. Iman has been a most fantastic and superb research assistant for 10 years. Iman, you did a wonderful job with our HIV-led strengthening programs in Kenya, PNG, India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, along with other research assistants, including Vicky, who's here today, and Pauline. And Iman, it's been so much fun learning how to cook Lebanese food with you and your family. I can only scratch the surface in attempting to thank my collaborators. Again, I'll single out a few. We've heard a bit of this, but Sharon, yes, you've been my student. I knew you'd hate this photo, Sharon. You've been my student, you've been my boss, my colleague, my collaborator, my professional advisor, my travel agent, my restaurant guide, and my friend altogether. Clovis, thanks for introducing me to Jamaican food, and those who weren't there last night missed a treat with his Jamaican cook-up. Your colourful Creole language and immunometabolism opening up such a new and exciting world for HIV research. Anna, thanks for being a great postdoc, and then my deputy director for the Healthy Ageing Program. And I think you, more than anyone, has shared my passion for macrophages and their role in the diseases associated with ageing and people living with HIV. David, we've been at Burnet since the beginning, and you've been my long-term partner on developing the CD4 point-of-care test. Quite a roller coaster ride, I would say, and there were certainly times when we thought that it would never happen, but it's really satisfying. And I'd like to thank you for your generosity as a collaborator in including me, not just in this test, but in others that we're now doing. I really enjoy and appreciate that. Of course, the CD4 point-of-care team was all involved in playing an important role, and this includes Alan Landay, who has been one of my longest-standing collaborators over many HIV projects since back, as you said, since the late 1980s. And thanks, Alan, for coming from Chicago today to be part of today's party. Adiba, my friend and collaborator at the University of Malaya, thanks for all the opportunities associated with collaboration with you and your team in KL. Thanks for having me stay in your home every time I go to KL. And thanks also for introducing me to your cook, who's taught me how to make an authentic Malay chicken curry. Sadly not able to be here today, but I'm really grateful and extend my thanks to colleagues at YRG Care in Chennai for our multiple HIV collaborations over the years. Jenny, we've seen this slide too. We've written books together, looked after countless patients together, survived with the supervision of students together. Thank you for a wonderful years of collaboration, and you made me cry today because it was so true that it is really hard leaving some of the patients that I've been looking after. To my PhD students, all 20, actually it's 22 of you, so proud of each one of you. You're definitely my surrogate kids. Some of you have become professors and world leaders. Some of you are running your own laboratories. A few of you have gone on, in fact 4 of you have gone on to do medicine, and 2, one up the back I think, are doing infectious diseases now, so I'm really proud of all of you. Only Ria and Taffy left to finish, and you're both well on your way. I'd like to thank all of the BSc Science and Honours and BMed Sci students who've been mentored in my lab over the past 30 years. It's really dangerous putting just a few photos up here, but 5 in particular have stood out in my memory, and their photos are below. And taking Ian Gust's advice, I've certainly found terrific postdocs and fantastic senior scientists to work with in my lab over the years, developing their own research projects and co-supervising our PhD and honours students. Thanks to all of you, and I'm sorry I can't thank each of you individually today, but 2 of you, Johnson and Anthony, both became independent lab heads at Burnet before spreading your wings. Training in infectious diseases at the beginning of the AIDS epidemic was pretty special, and the last 30 years at the Alfred, working in both general medicine and infectious diseases, have been such a privilege. Thanks to my colleagues, some of whom are shown here, including my first boss, John Spicer, and his successor, Steve Wesslinger, and to those clinicians who participated in all of our HIV clinical training programs. Thank you very much. Thanks to my patients for trusting me to look after you. A number of you for between 20 and 30 years, and saying goodbye over the past few weeks has been really tough. My mentors, Barry Firkin, Ron Lucas, a man of few words, Marty Hirsch, Jörg Langer, David Cooper. They've written more references for me over the past 30 years that I can count. And my advisors, Barry Firkin, Haddam, Glenn Bowes, Sharon Lewin, who've been on the sidelines to help me with difficult decisions over the years. And thanks to my donors, some of whom are here today and some of whom are anonymous, I'm really grateful that you've supported not only my research but the research of the younger people who've been working in my laboratory. I'd like to thank my family, my sisters, Helen Crowe, Judy and Jane. We haven't changed that much over 40 years, right? My family is simply the best. They've been part of every major celebration, and of course they're also here today. And I must admit that I'm pretty chuffed to also being a grandma without ever having any kids. Thanks, John, for being here. Thank you for being my sage. Thank you for helping me every now and then to raise my self-confidence up a notch. And thank you to Brendan for your support over the years that you've been director, for wanting to put this on today and making it happen, to the board of the Institute, and to my senior colleagues, especially Gilda and Heidi, who are here at present, to Mike Toole, to Mark Hellard, to Mark Stuve, many more. I'm not going to try and name you all, but thank you so much. To David and Stephanie and Paul for arranging the program and the details that underpin today. And lastly, thanks from both of us to all of our friends and colleagues for giving up your Sunday afternoon, and especially to those who've come from interstate and from overseas. That's it.
There's something special about science and the way it's recorded in that way. The work that was done is there forever. Each one of those papers has had so many people slave over, so many people judge and criticise, and they find their way to making a difference to science. And of course, in the case of Suzanne and John, a world of difference to what we understand about HIV in particular. So what we'd like to present you both with is this compilation of around 300 or so publications, or at least the first pages of, that, at least from my perspective, is like gold. Congratulations to both of you.
And with that, I would like to thank all of you for attending today. One more time, I'd like to say thank you both to both John and Suzanne for a wonderful lifetime of contribution and collaboration and friendship. I'd like to invite all of you to join us for some refreshments just outside. But very importantly, I'd like all of you to please sign some blank pages that have been left in the book for that purpose. And as you know, despite what John and Suzanne may say. We don't believe either of them are really retiring. So I think that we will all accept that this is really volume 1.
Yeah.